Good morning. My name is Katrina Salazar. I am here as your acting chair today for the January 25th, 2024 Legislative Committee meeting. As you know, the Board of Accountancy has provided the opportunity for the public to participate via the WebEx platform today. So when we do take public comments, we will begin by taking public comment from those individuals attending the meeting at the Sacramento location. I will then ask the moderator to open up the lines for public comment. If you are interested in public comment, you will be allotted up to 5 minutes to do so. And before we start our meeting, I would also like to highlight that our Board of Accountancy and committee member, Mr. Jacobson, is participating via WebEx, and there will be no members of the public at member Jacobson's location, so we will not be taking public comment at that location. So with that, I would ask Ms. Reed to please take over so that we can roll call and establish a quorum.
Patricia Batchelor.
Here.
Dan Jacobson.
Here.
Christian Lotta.
Present.
Tony Lynn.
Here.
And Katrina Salazar.
Present.
We have a quorum.
Thank you, Ms. Reed. As you are aware, the Board of Accountancy's mission is to protect consumers by ensuring that only qualified licensees practice public accountancy in accordance with established professional standards. This mission is derived from the statutory requirement that protection of the public shall be the highest priority for the California Board of Accountancy in exercising its licensing, regulatory, and disciplinary functions. Whenever the protection of the public is inconsistent with other interests sought to be promoted, the protection of the public shall be paramount. So thank you for listening again to our mission statements. And we will now go ahead and begin the agenda for the Legislative Committee. And the very first item is public comments for any items that are not on the agenda. So I'd like to invite public comment here in Sacramento. And seeing no public comment, I would like to invite our WebEx moderator to please open up the online platform.
Certainly. If anyone would like to make a comment on something that is not on the agenda, you may look for the hand icon and click that to raise your hand, or you may look for the question mark icon, click that, type the word comment in the text box, and click send. Each speaker will have 5 minutes with a 30-second warning. Are there any comments? I do not see any requests for comment. Shall I close that feature?
Yes, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
All right, so with that, we move along to item number 2, which is the approval of the minutes of the July 27th, 2023 Legislative Committee meeting. I would like to invite our committee members for a motion. Mr. Lynn?
Yeah, make the motion to approve the minute of the July 27, 2023 Legislative Committee meeting.
Excellent, thank you very much. Do I have a second?
I second.
Thank you, Ms. Batchelor. We have a first and we have a second, so we do have a motion on the floor. Any board member comments? All right. Mr. Jacobson, are you good? All right, thank you. So seeing no board member comment, I would like to invite for public comment here in Sacramento on the motion on the table, which is minutes. And seeing none, I'd like to invite our WebEx moderator, please open up the online portal.
And this is the moderator. Are there any comments on the minutes? If you would like to make a comment, you can look for the hand icon, click that to raise your hand, or you can click on the question mark icon, click that, type the word comment in the text box, and click send. Each speaker will have 5 minutes with a 30-second warning. Any comments on the minutes? I do not see any requests for comment. Shall I close that feature?
Yes, moderator, please close public comments. And with that, I'd like to turn it over to Ms. Reed to call for the vote.
Katrina Salazar,
Yes.
Tony Lynn,
Yes.
Christian Lotta,
Abstain.
Dan Jacobson,
Yes.
and Patricia Batchelor.
Abstain.
The motion carries.
Thank you very much for that. Moving along to agenda item number 3, it's the final actions and outcomes on legislation the California Board of Accountancy took a position on or monitored in 2023. Welcome, Mr. Hempel.
Thank you, Ms. Salazar. Good morning, members. I am David Hemphill, Information Planning Officer. I will present to you item 3, the final actions and outcomes on legislation the California Board of Accountancy took a position on or monitored in 2023. So this item will serve as a recap of the bills the CBA took a position on or were monitoring last year. The 2023 legislative session ended in September, and the governor acted upon the bills sent to him for action. The attached final actions and outcomes legislative tracking chart includes all of the bills the CBA was tracking in 2023. I'll start with legislation the CBA took a position on last year. There were 3 bills, and all 3 were signed by the governor. SB 544 amended the Bagley-Keene Open Meeting Act to further facilitate teleconference meetings. SB 816 included the CBA fee restructuring proposal, and SB 887 contained non-substantive cleanup to CBA provisions within the Business and Professions Code. In addition to those bills, the tracking chart provides updates on measures the CBA was monitoring last year. 3 of them carried over into 2024 as 2-year bills. However, the authors' offices have informed us that the bills will not be moving forward with their current language. CBA staff will continue to monitor these bills and will also identify any new or amended bills which may be of interest to the CBA and present them at a future LC meeting. The 2024 legislative session has already begun, convening its session just after the new year. The legislature has until February 16th to introduce new legislation for consideration during this legislative year. That concludes my presentation on this item. I turn it back to Chair Salazar, and I'm happy to answer any questions members may have.
Thank you, Mr. Hemphill, for that. Do we have any committee comments or questions on this agenda item? And seeing none, I do believe I need to open up for public comment here in Sacramento on agenda item 3. And seeing no public comment, I would like to invite our WebEx moderator to please open up the public comment for item number 3 of the Legislative Committee.
This is the moderator. If anyone would like to make a comment on the agenda item, you may look for the question mark icon and click that to raise your hand. My apologies, question mark, click that, type the word comment and click send, or you may click on the hand icon to raise your hand, and call-in users may press *3 to raise their hand. Each speaker will have 5 minutes with a 30-second warning. Are there any comments? I do not see any requests for comment. Shall I close that feature?
Yes, moderator, please close public comment. And with that, we move along to agenda item number 4. Mr. Hemphill, please proceed.
All right, thank you again. So item 4 is an overview of the California legislative process and the CBA's legislative committee's role. This is an item we bring every January just to kind of reset and look ahead to the legislative year. One of the primary roles of this committee is to review, recommend, and promote legislation related to consumer protection and the practice of public accountancy. This agenda item contains information regarding the process and procedures staff follow to ensure effective monitoring of legislation. Many people are involved in these processes to make them work. Staff routinely communicate with the legislature, other DCA entities and DCA staff, stakeholders, and keep the CBA informed of these activities. We have provided 3 attachments in this item for your reference. Attachment 1 is the overview of the legislative process, which provides information on all necessary steps for how a bill becomes a law in California and all other considerations the CBA may wish to keep in mind as it discusses legislation. Not quite as entertaining as the Schoolhouse Rock version, but it's worth the read nonetheless. Attachment 2 contains the various options which can be considered when taking positions on legislation. As the LC and CBA review proposed legislation, it may be helpful to refer to these options. Attachment 3 is the official legislative calendar the California Legislature will adhere to in 2024. It lists deadlines for bill introductions, policy and physical committee hearings, and when bills must be heard on the floor of their respective houses. You will notice that this year, the last day for bills to be introduced, as I mentioned, falls on February 16th. In the days leading up to that date, we can expect more than 2,000 bills to be introduced. In the early part of each year, staff is typically very busy identifying bills to keep under observation, recommending the ones most relevant to the CBA, and preparing analyses for your consideration. The March and May LC meeting agendas are often quite full as staff present many of these bills. So that essentially tees up our business for 2024. This was a very brief overview of the process, but you have all that reference information for you there to look upon when you need to. But I am more than happy to answer any questions that members may have, and I hand it back to Chair Salazar.
Thank you for that. I would now like to invite our committee members for comments or questions that they may have regarding this brief overview. There's a lot of good stuff in here, so thank you for presenting that.
Sure.
And seeing none, we do need to open for public comment here in Sacramento on agenda item number 4. And seeing none, I'd like to invite our WebEx moderator to please open up for public comment online.
Thank you. We've opened up the Q&A feature of WebEx to facilitate public comment. If you'd like to make a comment, you can look for the question mark icon, click that, type the word comment in the text box and click send, or you may click on the hand icon to raise your hand. And call-in users may press *3 to raise their hands. Are there any comments on the agenda item? I do not see any requests for comment. Shall I close that feature?
Moderator, please close public comment.
Thank you.
And with that, that brings us to our final item. I'd like to say thank you to the committee for allowing me to participate today. And I wish you much success with your legislative work this year. With that, this committee is adjourned.